DHC is the main cause of hair loss in over 90% of all cases in men. But knowing what causes your problem doesn't really solve them. In this video, we'll go over the different options you have to fight off hair loss by reducing or even blocking your DHC. What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This video is the second in a series of videos that will cover all you need to know about hair loss and how to deal with it. In this series we'll go over the following subject. Video 1. Why do we lose hair? This was the previous video. So in that video we explained why we're losing hair based on studies and gave you the fundamental understanding of androgenic alopecia. Video 2. How do we combat DHC? This is what we'll cover in this video. This video will explain how we can combat the problem child of our hair, namely DHC. In video 3 we go over growth stimulants, how do we grow new hair. Video 4 is about inflammation and how to reduce it. And last we have video 5, different approaches to dealing with the problem. In that video we take a look at how you can combine the knowledge you gain from all the other videos you saw in a protocol that might just be right for you and your daily needs and wants. So if you haven't seen the first video where we cover the subjects of why we are losing hair, I suggest that you go and take a look at it before you watch this video. This series is created so that you will get all the information in the right order to understand hair loss and learn how to deal with it. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Philippe and I suffer from hair loss too. And these videos are my contribution to the hair loss community so that others might find value and benefit from my experiments and my experience when they take on their own fight against hair loss. As the plan states, today we are going to talk about how we reduce or even block DHC. In the last video we learned about DHC and why this bad boy is the root cause of your hair loss. But now that we know what is causing your hair loss, what can you actually do about it? There are two main approaches to dealing with hair loss from DHC. The first option is to reduce DHC so it doesn't affect our hair as much as it used to do. The second option is to block DHC from doing its malicious work on our precious follicles. And last we'll talk about combining the two for a nuclear combination that will both remove some of the DHC but also block the remainder that we have left. So let's start with the first option. As you learned in the previous video, DHC is created in your body by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase enzyme. It takes a part of your testosterone and converts it into DHC. There are two medications that are FDA approved that can alleviate this problem for you. The first one is called Finasteride, but also goes under the name of Alopecia. It's very simple. What this drug does is that it goes into your body and on a molecular level it looks like testosterone. This means that the 5-AR enzyme, also known as 5-alpha reductase enzyme, will recognize this as testosterone and it will then bond to it as it was supposed to do with testosterone. The thing is that this only takes the enzyme and renders it completely useless, which means that it cannot really go and connect to testosterone and convert it into DHC. Side note, this actually also frees up some of your testosterone since it won't become DHC anymore, giving you more free testosterone for your use. So how effective is Finasteride? In this study we found the following. Global photographs showed an improvement in hair growth in 48% of Finasteride users at first year and 66% at the second year compared with a 7% placebo. This means that over 2 out of 3 men will see improvement after 2 years of Finasteride. That is definitely something that is worth looking into. And if you take a look at this video, you can see some of the before and after pictures of people who had used Finasteride and actually ended up even reversing or stopping their hair loss. So these two things should give you a solid idea of how effective Finasteride really is over a longer period of time. I know that some might say, well, how much does it actually reduce DHC? And I will answer this a bit differently than others might do. I really don't give a flying F how much it reduces DHC. Why? Because it is so individual how much DHC will cause hair loss in a person. So when people say, yeah, but it reduces DHC by 70%, which is actually pretty accurate by the way, They don't take into account if the last 30% is still enough to shred the last hair on this person. And on the other hand, another person might only need a 10% reduction to stop their hair loss completely. So do you see where I'm going with this? And since this video is not about the stats of finasteride, I don't feel like confusing you even further with a bunch of numbers that doesn't really tell you anything. So how do you use finasteride? Well, first off, it is a prescription medication in a lot of countries, so I suggest that you go and take a chat with your doctor about getting that prescription if you want it. The most common way to take finasteride, and this is what I personally do, is to take 1 milligram daily, more or less every day. It's that simple. 1 pill a day will keep the hair loss away. So what about the other option I mentioned to reduce DHC? I won't really go into a lot of details on this since it is almost identical to finasteride. This drug is called Dutasteride. And the only difference is that it is able to reduce DHT by up to 90% compared to the 70% that finasteride does. This compound is being debated a ton, and I have a lot of videos on this drug, but I would recommend that you go and take a look at Hairlicious channel. I know he has been using Dutasteride and he probably has some videos with his own experiences with this drug. So these two drugs can remove some of the DHC from your body. But what about what is left in your body? As I just said, losing hair is a very individual thing. And for some, finasteride will do the trick all alone. And for others, like yours truly, finasteride isn't really enough. So what can we do to step it up a bit? This is where we introduce androgen antagonists. You might know the word antagonist from superhero movies. This is usually the bad guy, but what it actually just means is that it is something that inhibits or interferes with something else. Like the Joker always trying to interfere with Batman doing his superhero thing. But in this case, the antagonist won't attack our superhero. Instead, it will be a real pain in the A and just simply block DHT from doing its job. Imagine DHT being Superman and androgenous antagonist being Kryptonite. In that case, we really love the antagonists. The real explanation is that DHC needs to bind to a receptor to work. And what an antagonist will do is simply just to sit on that spot where DHC is supposed to go. And now DHC is not able to do what it set out to do. And this is good because we are blocking DHC from doing damage to your hair. There are a ton of different androgen antagonists available, but in this video I will only include 2 of them. These 2 are the most used and, in my opinion, the most effective on the market so far. The first one is RU58841. This drug has been used by people with great success for more than 20 years. It never got FDA approved and now it is impossible to get a patent on the drug, so no company will develop it further. I've been using RU58841 for the past few years and I had great results with it. The most common dosage is 50 milligrams daily applied to the scalp. The other option is Pyrilutamide, also known as KX826. Pyrilutamide is currently on its way to being FDA approved and is developed by Kinter. The most common dosage here is 5 milligrams daily since it is far stronger than RU58841 in studies performed by Kinter. Since Pyrilutamide is stronger than RU58841, I have decided a few weeks back to go off RU58841 and start using Pyrilutamide. I have a vlog where you can follow my journey with my own hair loss and see how things works out for me. If you want to know more about how to use these compounds, I have several videos on how they work in detail, strength and how to mix them. What I usually do is that I buy the pre-made solutions from Anagen Inc and I apply 1 milliliter daily before bedtime on my scalp. And if you use the code ALPHAMODE at Anagen Inc at the checkout, you get a 10% discount on your whole order. Currently, you can buy pre-made RU58841 and there should be pre-made Pyrilutamide in a few weeks. But if you don't want to deal with the hassle of mixing your own solution, I have a video for that too. But if you don't want it, I suggest that you take a look at the pre-made RU58841 compound. It's ready to use when you receive it, and the only thing you have to do is apply 1 milliliter daily whenever it fits your schedule. So at this point you might wonder, why are these things applied to the scalp? This is actually where the magic of androgen antagonists happen. You see, we need androgen activity in our bodies for a variety of functions. This is why it's not a good idea to shut down all the androgens in your body. But these drugs will only work where they are applied. This means that if you applied them to the scalp, they will only work in that area. Now you know how to reduce your DHC, and you also know how to block the remainder. This is where you're able to do some real magic, because your hair loss is determined by how much androgen activity you have in your scalp. So a lot of people are using these two options in a combination to both reduce DHC and also block it. And this is where you usually see a lot of regrowth in people with a bad hair loss case. Personally, I'm a big fan of combining the two of them. But if you don't want to mess with your hormones in your body, you can go for the androgen antagonist only solution. And if you talk to your doctor, you can go with the finasteride only option. Or you can go and just wipe your androgens with a way stronger combination of both of the options. This will work whether you pick finasteride or dutasteride and combine it with either Pyrilutamide or RU58841. So to sum it up, finasteride reduces your DHT and is prescribed by your doctor. Dutasteride is stronger than finasteride but is not prescribed by your doctor for hair loss in most cases. RU58841 blocks the remainder of the DHC in your scalp, and Pyrilutamide does the same, just with a stronger extent. RU58841 and Pyrilutamide is topical solutions that you apply to your scalp daily, and the other are pills that you just take daily. For the best results, combine both of the options for a reduction of DHC and the blocking of the remainder. And this concludes the second video in the series. I haven't really found a name yet, so suggestions are still welcome. In the next video, we will cover the topic growth stimulation of the hair and how to stimulate more growth. Keep in mind, the topic might change, the name might change, but the content will still remain the same. And you can always just watch the playlist for the series that I've created if you are getting lost in the order of the videos. I also want to acknowledge that there are a ton of other approaches and theories about hair loss, but this, by my knowledge, is the only accepted globally theory for male pattern hair loss. Even though, don't let this hold you back from investigating other approaches by yourself. If you have any comments to this video, or if you have any wishes or suggestions for the next couple of topics, feel free to leave a post down below so that I can cover all the topics that you guys have questions for. I hope this gave some insight in hair loss, and I will see you in the next video.